Hello and welcome to the SunShares webinar. This is Christina Armour. I am the Program Director, SunShares Manager for SunShares, and I work with the Business Council on Climate Change. We say BC3 for short. So thanks again for joining our webinar. We're really excited to have everybody today. A few tips just to set us up for a successful webinar. We've already gone ahead and muted everybody's microphone just to eliminate any background noise or distractions. And we also ask that everybody please keep your video off. We will not have any video component to today's webinar. It'll just be the PowerPoint presentation that you hopefully can see there on your screen. During today's webinar, we will be asking, there is a chance for you to ask questions. And when that time comes, as a question comes up for yourself, you can see that there's a chat option. And if you go ahead and open that up, you can type in your question there and also raise your hand so that we know to call on you. And later in the webinar, we will go ahead, of course, and answer those questions when the time comes. So we're going to spend a short time here during this presentation going over the background of what is SunShares, talking more of the structure, and also giving you a little bit of just 101 on how solar works, and familiarize you with some of the other opportunities that you can take advantage of as you're thinking about going solar. So today we're really trying to educate you on your clean energy options. SunShares is a limited time group procurement program where we offer discounts on residential solar and electric vehicles. And the whole idea of the program is to reduce the confusion of going solar or the apprehension of driving an electric vehicle. And again, just trying to simplify the process and also make it more affordable to you by offering discounts. But before we get started, since we do have quite a few people who have joined us today, if you could just take a moment and let us know by typing into your chat field, how did you find out about the webinar? Perhaps it was the city that you live in or the company that you work for. If you're not sure exactly how you found out about it, you can just go ahead and type in the city that you live in. But we're just trying to get an idea of how far and wide folks are joining us today, since this is a Bay Area-wide program. So now I just want to take a moment and talk a little bit about just how we put together the program. So SunShares, we partner with 50 different cities and companies who are committed to helping the Bay Area achieve their climate action goals. And we pool our group buying power to receive the discounts from pre-vetted solar providers and EV dealerships. The SunShares discount, it is available to anybody who lives in one of the 9 counties of the Bay Area. However, they most likely find out about it through one of our outreach partners, whether it's the city that they live in or the company that they work for. But it's really a word of mouth program in the sense that people find out about it through their coworkers, family, friends. So as you think about taking advantage of some of the opportunities that we talk about today, please be sure to let others know that you think would also be interested in taking advantage of. One of the benefits of the SunShares program, beyond offering discounts and education, is that we've gone through and pre-vetted the solar companies that have been selected through the program. And there's an evaluation committee that looked at their longevity in the industry, confirmed that they meet all required licensing and insurance standards, looked at their customer service, financing options, quality of their products, and the discounts that were given. And we are really excited to introduce Peterson Dean, SkyTech Solar, and Solar Technologies. So we'd like to take a minute for them to individually introduce themselves. So we are going to unmute the microphones for the solar providers. And Colin, if you could please take a moment and introduce yourself first, real quick, that would be fabulous.
Hello, everybody. This is Colin Swan. I'm with SkyTech Solar. I'm the owner and founder, and we've been around for about 10 years, and we'd be delighted to work with any of you in providing an absolutely free proposal on your home for solar. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Tim, please.
My name is Tim McKeever from Peterson Dean Roofing and Solar. Pleased to be back for our third year in the SunShares program. We highlight ourselves as the roofing expert and solar expert for your home, and try to use as many American-made products as we can.
Great, thank you. And if Solar Technologies is on the line, if you could please raise your hand or rename yourself in there, then we'll have you introduce yourself here in a moment as we get the technology figured out. But in the meantime, I'm happy to introduce them on their behalf. So Solar Technologies has been serving the Bay Area as a SunPower master dealer, and they are proud to offer the industry's high quality, most efficient solar panels. And they have offices in both San Ramon and Santa Cruz, and they're focused on providing homeowners with the best installations, service, and warranties. So we'll definitely be hearing from more of the solar providers after the presentation, because they can answer your questions directly here momentarily. But first, let's go ahead and jump in to some more of the details about solar. And the idea from here is we really want to give you some more structure so that if you choose to move forward with exploring your options for solar by receiving a no cost, no obligation proposal from the companies, it's nice just to show up to those conversations knowing what to expect so that you can feel more confident in your decision, because going solar is a pretty big decision. But thankfully today there's so many more options and resources to simplify the process. So I want to take some time to talk through the different topics that will come up as you're in discussion with the solar providers about how to properly size a system for your home, and also to help guide what financing options are best for you. And first, we really encourage you to think about your home as the whole home, thinking about it as one whole entire unit. Because your first step is to try and make your home as energy efficient as possible. So before you even install solar, it's important to take a step back and yes, think about what are some of the changes, the upgrades that you need to make to ensure that you're not wasting energy through poor insulation or old windows. And there are some local programs that you can take advantage of, such as Home Energy Upgrade and Home Intel, that can help you identify what are the best upgrades to make in your home and help you put together a plan for bringing your home to a more energy efficient place for yourself. And perhaps you're already there, and then you can start having fun and ask yourself, how much of your home can you power with renewable energy? And this is where we as individuals have that option to really be a part of the solution. As our cities and our state want to be on running on 100% renewable energy by 2045, what do you want your home to be running off of? Are you thinking you want your home to be powered by 50% renewable energy, 75% renewable energy, 100%? What are you and your household willing and able to do? So as you install solar, think about how to best take advantage of your solar system by thinking about how much of your home can you power with your solar system. How much of your home can you switch away from using natural gas to using clean energy? So for example, our appliances, they all run on either natural gas or electricity. For your appliances that run on natural gas, can you switch them over to the electric? You know, this would be your washer and dryer, your water heater, your stovetop. Even think about your driveway. You know, do you want to get an electric vehicle? Because the more that you have in your home that's running on electricity, you can hook it up to your solar system and optimize the size of your solar system. And that's what's going to take your home to a higher level of using 75 or 100% renewable energy. So those are just some concepts to think about, and that will probably come up in your conversations with the solar providers. They're also going to, at one point, when your conversations arise there, they'll be looking at things in your home, such as your electric service breaker box, to make sure that the amps are appropriate to hold the electrical capacity for your new needs. If you live in an older home, you might need to increase the amp. So that could be one recommended upgrade. And for older homes, that's very typical. So just something to keep in mind. So now I want to take a moment and talk about net energy metering. So as you install solar on your rooftop, the way that your energy is measured changes, and we now use a process called net energy metering, or NEM. And this is how, as a solar customer, you get credited for the excess electricity that your system generates, and in turn you sell back to the grid. So this is how you know if you need to buy excess energy from the grid beyond what your system is producing, or if your system is overproducing and you get to sell your excess energy back to the grid. So as we talk about selling our energy back to the grid, it's important to note that there are some new community choice aggregation programs going online across the Bay Area. This is your default energy provider, and this is a new part of our options as a customer through PG&E. So we are all still customers of PG&E, but now again we have a new opportunity to choose where our electricity is coming from. And these programs such as MCE, Peninsula Clean Energy, East Bay Community Energy are offering 50 to 100% renewable energy options for you as the homeowner. So a lot of you should have seen some notices in your mailbox about these new programs, and you are automatically enrolled as an MCE customer, receiving their 50% to 100% renewable energy. And we would encourage you, because again, they have those two options and you're opted into the lower at the 50% level. And you have the option to opt up to 100% renewable energy. And this is a great option for people who are renters, who are not able to install solar, and you can choose to have 100% renewable energy, so you're still able to make your commitment to clean energy. Or perhaps you don't qualify for solar for whatever reason. Perhaps there's shading issues, for example. This is another way for you to still make your commitment to clean energy. And it's also important to note that you can choose to opt out of these local CCA programs and still choose to receive your electricity directly from PG&E's portfolio. And PG&E also has a program at a higher premium that offers renewable energy as well, called Solar Choice. So it's just really important to know that today you have options for where your energy comes from. So now I want to take a moment and talk about the difference of being a solar customer with your local CCA and with PG&E. And there's a few things that we're going to point out here. I'm just going to bring them all up here on the slide. So the first difference is how they price your excess solar energy that's generated. The local CCA will buy your excess energy at 1 cent above retail price, and PG&E, they will buy your excess energy at retail price. As we were talking about net energy metering, when they actually balance out your credits and debits of energy produced and consumed, that process is called a true-up. And the CCA program, they will conduct the true-up on a monthly basis, and PG&E does their true-up on an annual basis. And when they complete the true up, if they are going to buy the excess energy from you, then the CCA will send you a check purchasing that excess energy, and PG&E will give you a credit that can be applied to future bills. So those are, again, some setup options for you. And now I quickly would like to review some options for paying for your system. And this is where we will specifically talk about the 30% federal tax credit. First and foremost, you should check with your tax advisor for if you qualify for the 30% federal tax credit, since it's based on your income and a few other factors. And it's really important to note that this 30% federal tax credit expires at the end of 2019, which means that your solar system needs to be installed by the end of 2019 in order to take advantage of it. After 2019, it actually goes down to 26% and then again to 22% when it expires completely at the end of 2022. So if you do want to take advantage of the 30% federal tax credit, this is the time to do so, because it's only going to start disappearing, reducing, and then eventually disappearing from here. We emphasize this because this is the financing that we've just gone over, the CCA programs and PG&E Solar Choice, and electrifying your home. This is important for everybody to know who is installing solar. And then SunShares is offering an extra discount on top of that, an extra 15% discount for your solar. So this is the last year that you can take advantage of both the SunShares discount and the 30% federal tax credit, since your system will be installed by the end of next year. So that's just something to keep in mind as you're researching your financing options, which the solar companies are prepared to help walk you through your financing options when you get to your proposal process with them. It's also important to note that through the 30% federal tax credit, as you are installing solar, you can also apply other upgrades to the 30% federal tax credit, such as replacing your roof. If you need to replace your roof in order to install solar, the portion of your roof that the solar panels are over can be applied towards that 30% federal tax credit. If you need to upgrade your electrical service box, that can also be applied to the 30% federal tax credit. And if you install an EV charger for the new EV in your driveway, that can also be included there. So be sure to check in on that with your tax advisor, and the solar company should have some extra information for you as well. So far we've been talking about very general opportunities for installing solar that are available to anybody who installs solar. And again, the SunShares program is offering some special discounts and benefits. So let's take a minute now and talk about what SunShares is specifically offering to the community. So through this slide, I'm obviously going to take a moment to walk you through it. We have a few things up here, but essentially, this is a side-by-side comparison of what each of the three solar companies is offering through the SunShares program in terms of the equipment and the pricing. So the evaluation committee went through as they were selecting these providers, and also selected them based on the equipment that they were offering through the SunShares program. One of the issues for a lot of people to make the decision to install solar is they just don't know where to start, and they don't know what these solar companies are talking about. How do they know that the panel is a good panel, and how do we know that what they're supposed to be producing? So the committee's gone through and made sure that our community has quality options to choose from. So what's being offered through the program from Peterson-Dean, SkyTech Solar, and SunPower by Solar Technology, is we have American-made panels and high-efficiency panels. So Mission Solar are American-made, LG Neon and SunPower are both high-efficiency panels and with 25-year warranties across the board. The inverters are all top-of-the-line inverters with 15-year warranties across the line. So in many ways, what we're looking at here, you could say we're comparing apples to apples, top-of-the-line, high-quality producing panels and inverters. And so this is where we really encourage you through the SunShares program to get your own side-by-side comparison of exactly what your options are and talk to the solar companies to figure out what could work best for you. For some people, it's very important to have American-made products to support our local American economy in that manner. Others, for certain needs, need the high efficiency panels, whether you have a small roof, so you need to maximize the space that you're using, or you want to ensure that your system is generating the maximum amount of electricity possible to suit the needs, the consumption of your household. So also through the SunShares program, we're offering a 15% discount from market rate from each of the solar companies. So the pricing that we see here, and you always want to make sure as you get a quote from any solar company inside or outside of the SunShares program, that they're giving you a quote with a price per watt. So through the SunShares program, the prices that we see here, these already reflect the SunShares discount and are for a full turnkey installation. So the pricing that you see here includes the evaluation for your home and your rooftop. It also includes all of the equipment necessary for installing your system, the permits that are needed for installing your system, the labor, as well as the monitoring once your system has been installed. So I just want to give you an idea so that as you start your conversations, you're feeling, again, more prepared of exactly what is solar going to cost for yourself. So you can see the range of price per watt offered through the SunShares program. And there's different prices because there are different solar panels being offered. And it also depends on which size of system that you are installing. So there'll be a different price for a small, medium, and large system. And there's a lot more of that information in more detail on the Bay Area SunShares website. This here is just a quick snapshot. So in order to give you just a quick idea of what solar could cost for your home, the average size system that is installed through the Bay Area is a 4 kilowatt system. So on average, if your electricity costs are $100 per month, you can expect that around a 4+ kilowatt system to be suggested for installation on your rooftop. So your base system price is going to be anywhere from $11,800 up to $13,800. And the price that you see in parentheses, that is if you qualify for the 30% federal tax credit. That's the maximum tax credit that you could receive there. So you would deduct that from the base system price to receive your actual price with the federal tax credit. And this is where the payback on installing solar has improved so much. And you can expect to receive your payback anywhere between 5 and 11 years, depending on what your monthly energy costs are. So you can see if your monthly costs are on average $100 per month, you'll have a slightly longer payback period as if your costs were closer to $150 per month. So you should hopefully be able to do some average adjustments in your own heads that, again, you just go into these conversations feeling a little bit more prepared about what to expect. But again, the solar companies are ready to walk and talk you through your financing options and hopefully help you make a decision that's best for yourself. So we're going to switch gears and talk now about the electric vehicle component of the SunShares program. So we spoke earlier about, as you are thinking about installing solar, what are some of the other things in your home that you can hook up to your solar system? And thankfully, your car is one of them. And through the SunShares program, we have 2 vehicles that we're offering this year, the 2018 Nissan Leaf and the 2018 Toyota Mirai. These are slightly different vehicles from each other. However, both are zero emission vehicles. And that's the most important part for the SunShares program, is that we are getting zero emission vehicles on the road and making it easier and affordable for you to help with that. So the 2018 Nissan Leaf is with a longer battery range at 150 miles. And the hydrogen fuel cell Toyota Mirai, you fill up your hydrogen tank in the same way as you do a gasoline tank with a pump, and it takes about 3 to 5 minutes. So you can, both of these cars are definitely things one needs to think about how it fits into their day-to-day. You can find more information online, or we are happy to talk you through any of your options as well. And speaking of options, there are a lot of tax credits and rebates for electric vehicles and the hydrogen fuel cell vehicles as well. It's important to note that the federal tax credit and state rebates for both EVs and hydrogen fuel cells are applicable to all EVs, whether they are part of the SunShares program or not. What is special to the SunShares program is that selected dealerships are offering a special discount to the SunShares community. So Boardwalk Nissan in Redwood City is offering close to a $3,000 discount for purchasing the 2018 Nissan Leaf, and just over a $13,000 discount for leasing. The reason there's a difference in that price is because when you lease a vehicle, the tax credit and the rebates technically go to the owner. So this is how they differentiate that in the pricing and make sure that you are still the customer receiving that discount. So again, you can look through these tax credits and rebates and then add on top of that the SunShares discount. And you can see, for example, the Nissan Leaf, you can purchase it for as low as $20,273. So really, really great options for making the switch now to an electric vehicle. So we've talked about a lot of information. We took a moment to take a step back and think through how to prepare your home for installing solar. We took some time to talk about the different energy service providers that are offering 50 to 100% renewable energy. So we have options as renters, but then also for those of us that install solar through any of those programs, there's some extra benefits and value in there as well. And then we also talked about the financing options. And just want to remind everyone just why doing all of this through SunShares on top of all those federal and local programs. Why SunShares? So SunShares, we offer discounts, 15% discounts for solar, and then you saw the various discounts for the electric vehicles. We pre-vet the providers, giving you a starting point with 3 qualified top-notch customer service companies so that you can, yes, have an easy starting place. We offer third-party technical support. So BC3, we are here for you. We are here to answer any questions that you may have, help speed up your process. We can try if you're having a hard time getting in touch with the solar companies or whatever else it is that you need to make a confident decision for yourself. We are really excited to help the Bay Area achieve their climate action goals, reduce our carbon footprint, and help individuals be a part of the solution. So as you do participate in SunShares by choosing to install solar with one of the pre-vetted providers receiving that discount, you're not just installing solar, but you're part of a larger community-wide effort helping our region achieve their climate action goals. So congratulations on that exciting decision, and thank you for being a part of the solution with the rest of us. So to sign up for the discounts and to be put in touch with the proper providers, you'll go to our website, bayareasunshares.org. And when you sign up for more information on solar, the pre-vetted providers that you select, you can select 1, 2, or all 3 of them. They will contact you to start your no cost, no obligation proposal. So we're just trying to put you directly in touch with them. And again, we've bypassed all the sales so that when they call you, they're just getting you started immediately with what solar could look like and cost for yourself. So we do ask for a little bit of extra information when you register online. When you sign up for more information on the EV, we'll send you a discount code, which you can take into the participating dealerships, the Boardwalk Nissan in Redwood City and the San Francisco Toyota in San Francisco. And we, again, want to make sure everyone understands all of their clean energy options. So you can also sign up for more information on your local CCA programs, and we'll send you more information about them, along with how to opt up to 100% renewable energy. So again, please go to our website, bayareasunshares.org. Make sure you go before November 15th. The program does end on November 15th. So in order to access the discounts and to be put in touch with the solar providers, you need to sign up by November 15th. And then you have until December 31st to sign a solar contract with one of the providers, locking you into the SunShares discount and the products that are being offered by each of the solar providers. So if you have any further questions once the webinar is over and we end it, you can go ahead and email us at sunshares@bc3sfbay.org, and we'll answer all your questions from there. But in the meantime, we would now like to turn it over to those who have joined us, and this is your opportunity to ask your questions. We have the solar providers on hand. We're going to unmute their microphones. And for those of you who have a question, please type it into the chat bar, and we will read your questions, and then the solar providers will answer them. So with that, please, Maggie, what is our first question?
Okay, so our first question is the 15% discount through 2018 or 2019? And Tim from Peterson Dean has been answering some questions, but I just want to make sure that that question was answered sufficiently. So to the person who asked that question, if you could please indicate whether we were able to answer that effectively. And then while we're waiting for that, our next question is about, is specific to San Francisco. What portion of the roof where the panels go is required by the SF Fire Department to be kept clear for firefighter access?
Tim or Colin, do you have an answer for that?
It's a 3-foot walkway, depending on which part of the Bay Area you're from. Like in San Francisco, it's going to be at the front of the building. One side of the building, and you have to have a 3-foot walk pathway around that. So pretty much you can use most of your roof, but you just have to keep in mind that if there ever is a fire and like that, the firemen have to have easy access to your roof.
Great, thank you. And again, please let us know if we answered your question fully. Moving on to our next question. Will all the participants receive a PowerPoint slide at the end of the receive our PowerPoint presentation at the end?
Yes, we are happy to provide a copy of the PowerPoint presentation. We'll go ahead and email that out.
And I will say that the slides are a snapshot. There's quite a bit more information on our website, so please do make sure to check that out as well. And next question, is there a deadline for when the installation must be completed after you sign the contract?
No, there's not a deadline for when your installation needs to be completed. We anticipate that the installations will take place before and during the spring of 2019. And yeah, So that was the answer.
Gotcha. Thank you, Christina. Are there any issues with flat roofs, particularly if on one side of the property is much higher, creating shade?
Tim, do you have an answer for that, please?
Well, we're all going to do evaluations on the full roof to best design the most efficient system. You know, south facing with no shade is the best. Around to the west side being second best for those time of use rates. But the whole roof is to be evaluated for that.
Great, thank you. Moving on, our next question, someone would like a bit more information on understanding, or they'd like to understand better the payback calculation under NEM 2. Since most of their excess generation will be during the afternoon when retail prices will be driven lower as the duck curve deepens, how can they think about payback balancing their revenue from excess against their expense from nighttime consumption that will be at higher retail rates?
Tim or Colin?
It's Colin here. So basically what we would do is we would take a look, if you're looking at payback and so forth, we would take a look at all of your consumption that you do during the course of the day. We've, you know, all solar installers have sophisticated software that would put in whatever the type of rate system that you're currently on with whatever provider you're with. And during the daytime, obviously, you're going to be generating electricity through your solar system. And at nighttime, you're going to be taking it from the grid. And it would figure out, you know, how much electricity you've taken and how much you've given back. And at the end of the year, you know, you have a true-up bill. But it would take into consideration that sort of stuff. And as far as the payback goes, you know, we take into consideration rebates that you can get from different cities or whatever, as well as a 30% federal tax credit. But usually, you know, if you're looking for a return on investment or whatever, you know, you're usually looking anywhere from about 4 to 7 years is the average it would take you to get that return on investment. And, you know, as far as working with your electrical provider or your utility provider, you know, they do take into account and monitor how much you do take, you know, give to them, how much you take from them. On NEM 2, unfortunately, it's not as good as NEM 1. NEM 1, it was basically a one-for-one type of scenario. NEM 2, yeah, it's a bit more difficult because of the different pricing for the nighttime versus daytime. But at the end of the day, you know, whatever provider you go with, you can just kind of ask them to give you that rundown through their software, and they'll be able to show you what the payback's like. I hope that answers your question. It's a difficult question.
And to jump in there, Colin, that's a big reason we're seeing about a third of our customers now install energy storage with their solar. Aside from giving you essential load backup when the grid goes down and keeping your solar system powering through blackouts, the batteries do offer a little bit of arbitrage to store power that's created during those inexpensive times during the day. And you're able to kind of self-consume some of that power from the battery during the more expensive time. So it gives you a little bit of extra cost savings aside from the backup benefit. So we're doing that more and more. And, you know, with the extension of the energy storage incentives that just went through the legislature, they're looking to the future to know that those time of use rate plans are going to change and, you know, not necessarily to the solar owner's advantage. So the best thing you can do is get in under the current net metering rules and under the current time of use rate plans before they switch those and get yourself grandfathered in.
Thank you, Colin and Tim. And a few follow-up questions regarding battery and energy storage. One is, how much is battery storage about? And another is, didn't Governor Brown just sign a bill that includes an energy storage subsidy?
So yeah, as I just spoke to, he extended the SCHIP program. So that went through the legislature just last month. They're providing, I want to say it's $800 million more over the next 5 years to help homeowners add energy storage. That is a continuation of a program that currently exists. You know, all of our customers that do energy storage have been filing for those rebates. And so yes to that. And the battery storage systems depends on the quantity you need. The LG Chem battery that we're leaning on, that is our favorite product in the field right now, retails for about $11,500, but that does have federal tax credit applicability, so you're able to take your tax credit against that. And the SCHIP incentive is in the ballpark of $2,500, so that's a cashback rebate. So those come off that retail price.
And this is Christina. I just also want to mention that those who are interested in battery storage, each of the selected solar providers offering batteries offer some are offering at a discount, and some are also offering a part of a bundled package. So if you install solar and purchase battery storage and an electric EV charger, for example, you get a discount, further discount, I should say. So again, that extra information is on the website.
Your mic was cutting off a little bit. So again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at the email that was provided. Moving on to our next question. Regarding the electrical panel upgrade, do your solar companies provide this or contract out to the resident?
As far as Skytech Solar goes, we have a list of different different electricians who have set prices for that, and we can subcontract that out, or we can have you work directly with them. However, we can provide you with a letter stating that you need an electrical upgrade for your solar. So the cost of that electrical upgrade should be, and you can check with your accountant just to confirm on this, but it should be able to get your 30% federal tax credit on that as well.
Great.
Yeah, we also use highly vetted electricians depending on which city you're in, so they all know the local requirements. But we tend to include that on your solar contract as a flat adder that covers the cost of those contractors.
And how much do those electric panel upgrades typically cost?
A simple panel upgrade that doesn't require any change of location or different feeder wire or anything like that is a flat $3,000.
Okay. And there was a question about what models of EV are participating in the SunShares discount program, and the models are the 2018 Nissan Leaf and the Toyota Mirai. It's the newest and latest hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. And again, we will be sending the slides with this information to you via email. Also, everything is on the website in more detail than the slides. The next question is, what happens if the homeowner needs to get roof work done in the future with existing solar panels on the roof? Great question.
Well, when we first do a site survey, we'll be able to work with the homeowner and figure out whether or not the lifespan that's left on the roof itself. If it's within a 5-year period, the customer may want to consider getting the roof done and having us coordinate with the roofer and putting the solar in there with the roofer so that their warranties are all protected. If there's quite a good bit left on the roof, 10 years or whatever, and they want to put in solar, we would do that. And then when it comes time to get a new roof, we would go out, basically take down the panels and the racking system and work with the roofer and then put it back up when it's done. The cost would depend on the size of the actual system itself, but generally, you're looking somewhere between, for a small system, maybe like $1,400 to a much larger system, maybe $2,400.
Great, thank you. A question about installing, so the question is, can you install a larger system than you need for your energy usage to make a bit of money by selling it back to MCE maybe, back to the grid essentially? Can you make money by installing a larger system?
You can, but it's not really worth it because of the fact that what happens is they only pay you back wholesale rates. So let's say your usual cost per kilowatt hour, depending on what phase you're on, let's say it's, they're charging you 19 cents, but when you're actually what they'd only pay you, though, if that's what they would charge you, but if they're paying you, they pay you the wholesale rates, they may only pay you a couple of cents per kilowatt hour. So it's not something that you'd want to think of as a way to make money. You'd be better off just kind of figuring out how you can kind of zero out your bill.
Great. And then this is probably a question for Christina. Will we be reaching out to Tesla or Chevy Volt in the future?
Great question. We reached out to Chevy, and Tesla this year. Tesla, because of their different business model, probably will not participate in the SunShares program, but we definitely won't stop asking. This is a newer part of the program, and we are excited to continue improving and expanding it. So as Chevy was not able to participate this year, we definitely hope next year and hope to have not just more vehicles, but more participating dealerships across the Bay Area. In the meantime, the Boardwalk, Nissan, and Redwood City, and both San Francisco Toyota were chosen because of the expertise of their EV sales representatives. So they seem to be able to provide a higher level of education to customers on EVs.
And there's also another question asking us if we can talk a little bit about maintenance, and I'm assuming that's a question pertaining to maintenance of the solar panels. So either Colin or Tim?
Well, on the solar panel side, systems need very little maintenance. Once they're up and running, they're generally good to go. There are no moving parts. It's the reaction in the panel to produce electricity. The inverter switches that DC to AC, and then it's used in the home. The only things we ever really run into on maintenance calls are if there's like a Wi-Fi disruption and your monitoring might stop reporting. They reset those a lot of times. And on very rare occasions, maybe an optimizer or inverter has an issue. But all of the monitoring that is included with all these systems will give you immediate feedback if any of those issues do occur, and they're all covered under our warranties. As far as like annual cleaning and stuff like that, as long as you get a couple rains a year, that's normally enough to keep them clean. If you have a particularly bad soiling issue, maybe once a year to get them cleaned or clean them with a hose. But generally, that's not an issue either. I hope that answers that question. If it was about the cars, there's a lot less maintenance on electric cars because there's a lot less systems.
I think maybe everyone could hear my little comment of joy. I do get excited at these points of the webinars of how resourceful the solar companies are. So thank you, Tim.
Sorry, Christina, you were still muted, and it's your technical difficulties here. Anyway, I'm going to continue with the questions. We'll work it out on our end. There's another question about the size of the system, then I'll get back to questions about cars and other things. Can the size of the system be expanded in the future to account for increased usage?
Very easily. So just depending on the space on your roof. And, my advice would be, though, from the get-go, it's the cheapest way to do it is to try and figure out what your to wipe out your current electrical bill and be self-sufficient there. If you believe you're going to get an electrical vehicle in the future, most utility providers will allow you to actually oversize a system to take that into account up to about, maybe 110% of your current usage. So if you know you're going to expand your system at a later date, or your usage is going to be increased of the electricity that you use, it might be an idea to kind of factor that in when you're initially doing it. But if you decide against that and at a later stage you do want to get it, it's very easy to add more systems to it, especially you know, if you're using things like Enphase or SolarEdge, where you would just add additional panels to it. And yeah, it's possible. The only restrictions are roof space.
Okay. And what are the warranties on the solar system as a whole, including, you know, the panels and the inverter, et cetera?
Depends on the manufacturer. Let's look at inverters. With SolarEdge, they have these optimizers, and they're guaranteed for 25 years. But the inverter itself may only be out of the box. It's guaranteed for 12 years. You can pay probably about $600 to increase that to make it a 25-year warranty. The other inverter we use is Enphase. Enphase out of the box is 25 years for the inverters, but then they have an Envoy which monitors the system, and that's only a 5-year warranty on that. Now, as far as panels go, most panels out there, the majority of them would have a 25-year warranty on their performance, but maybe only a 12-year warranty on the actual panel itself. But there are certain providers out there, such as LG, which will give you 25 years on both the panel and the workmanship of the panel itself, as well as the performance of the panel. And they'll also pay for, all three companies will pay for a labor to go out there and actually replace those panels if anything goes wrong. Okay,
just a friendly reminder, we have 5 minutes left and we're going to try to get to as many questions as we possibly can. Again, we'll be happy to answer any of your emails after the webinar has finished. There's a question about why the utility can limit the size of your system.
Oh, when initially they question it. They don't really limit it. They question it because they're looking after the best interest of the consumer. What they don't want to happen is that you have an unreputable solar installer sell a system that's way too big than what the consumer actually needs. So usually if you're doing something that's going to be over 100% of the consumer's current usage, you would provide supplementary information to the utility provider explaining why you're building a system that's bigger than their current usage.
Thank you. And we'll take one more question. All right. So if this person plans to add HP heat pump water heater, there we go, an electric vehicle and an electric oven / stovetop, what percentage oversizing of the panel would you recommend?
That's going to be a really individualized answer based on what you're currently using. The cooking probably doesn't affect your overall consumption very much. Those are really efficient things, and they're only on, you know, an hour a day or whatever it is. The hot water heaters, depending on the size, you might want to. They have an expected kilowatt hour usage for the year, depending on your roof and the solar panel you choose. Basically, each panel is probably going to produce about 500 kilowatt hours a year. So if it's going to use 750 kilowatt hours a year, you're looking at an extra panel or two. Electric car, it's going to depend on what your predicted mileage driven for the year is, and if you're going to be charging that at home 100%, or if you have charging at work. And there are calculators that we use to kind of decide what your expectation is for home charging and how much more solar you'd want to use. If you have an electric car, you're also going to switch to the electric vehicle rate plan, which charges you a lot less in the nighttime hours and can be a really good benefit. So there's a lot of variables to take in there, and we're happy to have that conversation with you individually.
Thank you, Tim. So we're going to wrap it up now. Oh, we're going to ask one more question. So we currently have a conventional tank type, about 40 gallons perhaps, of a gas water heater. And to change to electric, do you recommend tank type do you recommend like a tank or a tankless? And they would also assume either would require 240 volts.
Definitely the tank heat pump version. Those are definitely the most efficient now. They actually basically act as a battery. They use power when it's less expensive and maintain hot water, and you're storing energy as heat for your hot water. So they're a really cool technology. They're more efficient than the on-demand electric, certainly, and that's what we see. Most of the like LEED-rated homes and low-energy homes that are being built currently are all switching to the heat pump systems.
Okay, great. Thank you. And we're so glad to have so many questions here. Again, if you sign up through our website, bayareasunshares.org, you can indicate that you would like to receive a free, no obligation proposal from these solar providers who can individualize a plan specific to your needs. So we're really glad to have specific questions, and you can continue this conversation after the webinar. So thank you all for joining us. Christina, any last?
No, I also just want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody for joining, and especially thank you to Colin from SkyTech Solar and Tim from Peterson-Dean for taking the time to join us today. Please note that Solar Technologies was not able to join us simply due to, I believe, some technology issues, such as the phone. But they are just as resourceful and are happy to get you started in your process as well. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us today. As Maggie said, please go online today to sign up at bayareasunshares.org to receive more information on solar, to receive the discount code for EVs, and how to opt up to 100% with your local CCA program. If you have any further questions, email us at sunshares@bc3sfba.org. And good luck with your really exciting decisions as you're trying to make a larger commitment to clean energy. So thanks again, and talk to you soon.